Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to M Sports Gaming. We have a very special guest in the room, former trainer of Mike Tyson, current trainer of WBA heavyweight champion of the world, TREVOR BRYAN, none other than Stacey Mcklinley. Stacey, how are we doing?
Doing just fine. Everything is good.
Fantastic. It's great to see you in the house again.
Thank you.
So, updates. Let us know what has been going on with yourself. First of all, the WBA heavyweight champion. Congratulations on your last win.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
The fight against Bermane Stiverne. Tell us what you learned from that fight.
Well, I learned a lot from the fight. The fight plan for me was to have Trevor to be real relaxed, take his time, a lot of patience. Don't push yourself too hard, and that lets me know how much experience he had. So he fought a very experienced style of a fight. I could have got him out of it and got Bermane out of about 5 rounds, but that's not what I wanted. I wanted to see how he would follow instructions in this type of a fight and pace himself and relax and box really relax. And that's what he did. And it showed me that he's ready for the next level.
What is going with the WBA situation? Because every time I hear about the WBA, you know, there's Manuel Shah, there's obviously we've got now TREVOR BRYAN, and then there's such an inactivity within the WBA. What is going on there? People rumored Daniel Dubois to fight for the title. DILLIAN White was rumored to fight for the title. Joe Joyce was rumored at one point. What is going with that WBA situation and the inactivity of TREVOR BRYAN as well?
Well, what I've seen in the last 3 weeks was the WBA is trying to straighten up all this title situation. They're looking at, they got rid of the interim championships. They got rid of the gold championship. And so now we just got the super title and we got the regular title. So my guy got the regular title and Joshua has the super title. So those two gonna have to fight, and then there'll be just one champion.
Okay, so where do you see Trevor's situation? Because
he packs a pretty good punch in his right hand, but he's very inexperienced. But it's a guy that we're not looking at. You know, we're looking forward right now. We're not looking backwards. We're looking at you know, the possibility of doing something with Tyson, which I don't think that's going to happen. And we're looking forward to seeing the winner between Joshua and his opponent that's coming up. And we got to look and see what's going to happen with Tyson Fury also.
We talked about Alexander Usyk before. You wasn't a big fan of Alexander Usyk when I spoke to you about him before. Has anything changed?
Well, it's not a whole lot changed. I mean, he's a good fighter. He's a good fighter, but you got to understand one thing. He's moving up in class, up in weight class. So there's a lot different between fighting cruiserweights and fighting the heavyweights. I mean, one of the guys that were really successful in that was Evander Holyfield, but this kid is Evander Holyfield. But you know, he's moved up and he's fighting a big guy. He's fighting a big guy in Joshua. Although Joshua fight with Anna Ruiz, the last fight I wasn't that impressed because he seemed kind of timid. He was kind of hesitant at times in that fight. So it's going to be very interesting.
What did you make of Joshua's performance against Pulev?
Well, I think it was good. It was good. You know, it was good. Pulev is a good fighter, but these guys in a different class. I think that Joshua's a little bit better than all of those guys, except for Tyson Fury. Those other guys, I don't think they can beat him.
So you know, what sort of a threat does Usyk pose in your opinion?
Well, it's a lot. I think he's gonna come out trying to apply pressure. That's the only way he can win. He can't sit back and outbox him. He doesn't have a reach. He has that reach of the power from the outside. So he's gonna have to put a lot of pressure on him. And I don't know. I got to see how much pressure Joshua can take now. You know, like I said, when he fought Ruiz, the pressure kind of got to him a little bit because he was hesitant. A lot of time, I think he should have been throwing punches. He wasn't throwing them. So maybe he was thinking too much. But maybe he's got past that now. So it's going to be very interesting. It's very interesting to me because of where TREVOR BRYAN is. Because we're mandatory and you know, so it's very interesting.
So you're saying that should Joshua get past Usyk and Tyson get past Wilder, are you going to try and stop the undisputed fight because TREVOR BRYAN is mandatory?
Well, no, I'm not going to try to stop the undisputed fight. I hear him talking about. You know, and both of these guys got to be careful because they might not be there. So you just can't say that there's going to be definitely going to be a fight between Tyson Fury and Joshua, because we actually don't know where Deontay Wilder is right now, and I really don't know where Fury is right now. Fury been doing a lot of traveling. He's been in and out of United States. He's been in California. He's been in Florida training, and he's up in Michigan training. So he's been doing a lot of moving around. So I don't know if he's the same Tyson Fury condition-wise or mentally-wise that he was the last fight. I don't know. Also, I know that Deontay Wilder made some adjustments in his corner. He got Malik Scott in there with him. I watched him doing some pad work and this type of thing. I saw Malik showing him a lot of different moves and working on his footwork and balancing. He may come in. He may come in also. Wilder may come in a little step better. I don't know. There's a lot to be seen. It's very interesting in what's going to happen. I heard that Fury father was telling him not to fight. He should stay over there and in his country and train. And this kid is getting better and all kinds of stuff. So we won't know until fight night.
Okay, I want to ask you this question as an experienced trainer. You know heavyweight boxing. You know the landscape. One of the concerns I have about Anthony Joshua is that when Mike Tyson walks into the room, you know that's Mike Tyson. That's the heavyweight champion of the world. When Holyfield walked in the room, you knew Holyfield was the heavyweight champion. When BOWE walked in the room, you knew it was the heavyweight champion. When Lennox Lewis walked into the room, you knew he was the heavyweight champion of the world. When Anthony Joshua walks into the room, he looks like he could be the heavyweight champion of the world, in my opinion, but he doesn't have that same aura. Is that me, or is that just my perception, or is there something? Am I onto something there?
Well, you know, Joshua's a pretty boy. Okay, they look at Joshua, they look at a pretty boy, nice, beautiful girls like him, and this type of thing. So he doesn't fit that mean look like most fighters look, walk, or carry that persona. So he's a pretty boy, look like he'd be a model and all this type of thing. So basically that's what it is. But he is a solid heavyweight. There's no doubt about it. Now he is the champion. He done beat some good fighters. He beat Vladimir Klitschko, which is one of the best fighters I ever seen Klitschko fight. So you can't take that from him. He came back and beat Andy Ruiz. So you can't take it from him, but he's a legitimate heavyweight champion. There's no doubt about it.
Okay, but when you talk about those guys, you know, Mike Tyson was very intimidating. BOWE was a great inside fighter, outside fighter. There was a solidness about those guys I'm talking about. When you talk about Joshua and the way he went over against Ruiz, and every time he seems to get hit, he kind of reminds me almost like Frank Bruno. The way you get hit and he's very vulnerable, stays in the same spot, doesn't know how to get himself out of certain issues. With Klitschko, Klitschko kind of stepped back off him because Klitschko's brother said, you know what, step off, don't go to him. Then with the Ruiz fight, I said, you know what, if Ruiz takes it to him, drops him, he's going to get all over him and stop him. There's this sort of vulnerability about him. And when he talks, he doesn't like, for this Usyk fight, I'm expecting him to say, you know what, I'm the champion. You're not going to come to England and take my title. I'm going to show you what the heavyweight division is all about. That sort of welcome to the heavyweight division sort of talk. I'm not hearing that from Joshua. I'm hearing this sort of, you know, I'm getting better in the ring and I'm being more of a scientist and all this sort of stuff. I'm not hearing that lion, that sort of, I'm going to take you out. I'm going to blow you out. I'm not hearing that. And that's concerning for me.
Well, a lot of times guys like Joshua, he want to appear to mainstream society. He want to be the society guy, respecting mainstream society. So he want to act a certain way, has a certain accent. So he wants to show a certain amount of intelligence. So to him to go out and brag and talk about what he's going to do and everything, he actually think that's beneath with his persona, his personality, and this type of thing. I think that's where he's coming from with that. I think he basically want to get into the movies and all this kind of stuff. So maybe into politics. So I think he just kind of, you know, Tyson him will let you know, I'm a ring warrior. I come to fight. I come to eat your kids and all this type of thing. And Deontay Wilder talk about knocking people out. Ali talk about it. So, but you know, this kid is a little bit different. He's kind of like Sugar Ray. I remember Sugar Ray Leonard early on in the amateurs and in the pros. Sugar Ray Leonard had the persona of a real nice guy, big, beautiful smile, a real sweet type guy. But inside that boxing ring, he was a stone monster. So it's a little bit different, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So in terms of this fight, if Usyk were to beat Joshua, where does that sort of place Anthony Joshua now? From the Americans' perspective, because he got bonded over by Ruiz. He never came back to America and fought Ruiz in America. And then now if he gets bundled over by a cruiserweight who didn't look great against Derek Chisora nor Chaz Witherspoon, where does that put Joshua?
Well, you know, some people say, well, you know, Joshua was a flash in the pan, fly by night. Some of the guys will say that. And he never really had the championship heart or the championship chin. So he's kind of passive, man. So it's very difficult, but he will never be in the class with a Tyson or an Ali and those tough guys. And those guys in a whole different ball game, different class. So he doesn't have that persona about him. Although he's a big guy, he can punch. He has the titles. He's been in some good fights. So he has a lot going for him, but he just haven't reached that yet. And one of the things about it is his management team and handlers and management team, they don't understand the psychological game of boxing. Whereas this kid needed somebody to be able to put that type of persona in him to make him tougher, to make him appear to be tougher. Okay, you got to have different buttons to push. They didn't know the buttons to push, so because they didn't know the other side of the game. And
that's
so
what you're hitting the. Now you're talking about what I'm saying. Now you're really getting to that point. Now the buttons that I saw when Lennox Lewis went to America and he started working with Manuel Stewart, you could see the evolution of Lennox Lewis. He put more weight on, and Manuel Stewart said, "Go out there and take him out of there." You know, it was a different mentality altogether with Lennox. Rather than sitting back using a jab and moving around the ring, Manuel got him more aggressive and taking the fight to fighters. And I can imagine Emmanuel Stewart would have said to Anthony Joshua, "Take it to Usyk. Don't let him settle. Go, you're the big man. Be the big man in there and get after him." But I don't think Robert Cracken would say that.
Absolutely. You know, Lennox Lewis kind of passive at first. You know, he's a nice guy, well spoken. He's a little passive. I remember when he got ready to fight my guy Tony Tucker, and his trainer Pepper Burrell told me after the fight, he said Lennox Lewis, man, was very worried about that fight. I said, yeah. I said, but he was fighting a Tony Tucker, an older Tony Tucker. And I said, but he knew that Tony Tucker had a lot of skills. His skill set was so great. But he was a little timid then. And then after he got beat by Oliver McCall knocked him out. He got with Emmanuel Stewart. And like you said, Emmanuel changed that whole thing. But actually, you heard me say it before, you got to train a fighter the way God made his body. That this kid here was big, strong, and could punch. So he had no business running or being fearful of any fighter, because he's the one with the guns, and all he needed was his basic techniques put together and the psychological part of them together. And that's what Emmanuel Stewart did.
Rob McCracken, without being, you know, this is not a disrespectful thing, but where do you see Rob McCracken in America in terms of what he's produced with Anthony Joshua?
Let's repeat yourself again now.
Rob McCracken, the trainer of Anthony Joshua, in terms of what he's done with Joshua, where do you, as an American trainer or as a long-term expert within the sport of boxing, how do you see Joshua's evolution, and what could you, or in that mindset, have done to alter Joshua had you been handling him?
Well, the thing about McCracken is, you know, he's a good trainer, but we're talking about a whole different ball game when you're talking about developing this Joshua and putting him on a different level. Like you said, you mentioned it yourself, you hit what Emmanuel Stewart did. There's a lot. He will never fight up to his potential. He will never fight up to potential because he doesn't have anybody to teach him. He doesn't have anybody to teach him. And then you got guys who never trained heavyweights before, and they're trying to train a big heavyweight like that. And with that boy's personality and strength, they really don't know what they got. So the kid is fighting basically on his own talent. Is what's happening. So he's never been, from an amateur, never been really converted into a full-fledged, skillful heavyweight fighter. And when he first come out, I thought he was going to be one of the best you could ever see. I even told Don King, I said, kid, it's a little bit different. I said, but he needs some help. But he's different. And Don said, yeah. I said, yeah, he's okay. But then I didn't see him progress. He wasn't progressive. He wasn't doing different things that he should have been doing. So, you know, but he was doing work for him up until now.
Give us, without giving too much away, where do you think you could have, what would have Anthony Joshua looked like technically under your tutelage, or with that tutelage you're talking about?
Well, let's take a 240 pounds, 6'6" Tommy Hearns.
Wow.
That style.
Wow.
That style. Yeah. That with his punching power and his size and his reach, you don't have to. He didn't have to do a whole lot of different things in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you teach him 2 or 3 different types of jabs, 2 or 3 different types of right hands, a little movement here, a little fence here, a little defense, tighten your defense up, and that's it. Other than that, that's all you got. You got a Tommy Hearns type fighter.
So then,
that's what I would do.
With that fighter now, okay, so you've got that fighter in your corner. That's the Joshua you've got. You're training him against Alexander Usyk now. What do you tell him to do to Usyk?
But one, I tell him, I said, this guy gonna have to try to get on the inside of you. So what you're gonna have to do is you got to keep the jab bit. You have to use a double and triple jab. A double and triple jab is very hard to counter, and it's hard to work your way on the inside against that type of jab. I said, then you lose if you get too aggressive, a little movement, step to your right, step to your left. What this does is break his onslaught. When he's coming in, it breaks his rhythm. It's like a bullfighter, a matador. You know, you swing the thing here. So that's all it is. And all of that is keep the jab, shoot his right hand right behind it. You got no problem. Set him up for punches.
And would you be looking to stop Usyk? Do you think he's got the power, and is he able to stop Usyk without getting countered himself?
He's definitely got the power to stop him. Now, whether he know how to set him up and stop him, I don't know if he could be able to do that, but he has the power in each hand to stop him. So it's power is not a question. You know, it's the technique and what he's been taught and where to place his punches. I don't think he's been taught how to place punches before.
Very interesting. Alexander Usyk, going back into his cruiserweight days, moving into the heavyweight division. When he first stepped into the heavyweight division, there were whispers when he fought Chaz Witherspoon, who was unhappy about his weight. Now the story is he's put on 20, 30 pounds of muscle coming into this fight against Joshua. What are your thoughts on that? And will it affect him?
I mean, yeah, it may help him. It may help him. I don't think it'll hurt him, but it may help him. You know, I can't go by Chad Witherspoon fight this type of. You got to fight a Class C fighter. Now you're fighting a fighter in as I would say a A- fighter. You fighting that is a whole different ball game. So the little weight, the little muscles, and the little weight that he put on, I just hope it doesn't slow his speed down, take his speed from him. But other than that, he may be able to push Joshua back a little bit because of his weight and power.
But is he there to get hit more?
Beg pardon?
Is he there to get hit more because of the movement is less?
Well, the movement is less, and that makes him more vulnerable. But
that's
like
what I'm saying.
But it all depends. Okay, let's for instance, somebody told me, let's say George Foreman.
Yes.
They say, well, George Foreman he's big and he's slow. Yeah, he's big and he's slow, but he's methodical. So you just can't. It's hard to judge speed. It's very hard to judge speed. You know, this is why you have a lot of criminal cases where where they had police officers beating up people with sticks and things like that. And then the police officer get off and they said, well, the police officer was acquitted. Well, because the expert said you can't believe what you see on the film. And what you see on film is not really what's happening. You're saying, well, it's on film. It got to be happening because I'm looking at it. But I was told this years ago. I was told this years ago by Luther Burgess. We was down the Crunk and Luther Burgess and all those Emmanuel around there talking. And I heard this years ago. Who was that? One of the fighters became world champion, Dwayne Thomas, mentioned something about Muhammad Ali and said that Muhammad Ali was real fast, or Muhammad Ali is too fast for somebody Ali was getting ready to fight. And Luther Burgess made a statement that I never forgot. He said he's not that fast. So everybody looked at him like he's crazy. What do you mean he's not fast? He's not that fast. He said what you're getting confused is speed and being busy. He said Ali is busy. He's not that fast. He's just busy. And when you're busy like that on films, it look fast. So it's very hard. It's very hard to judge. It's very hard to judge. You won't know until you get in there. It's very hard to judge. So I keep all in the back of my mind. They say, well, we got this fast fighter. Well, let me see how fast he is. This guy's fast? No, he's busy. This guy over here has fast hands. So you got to study it real. Films can lie to you. So you have to be on top of your business. You have to study it. And the thing about today's fighters, you learn so much about today's fighters because they take all their training. You've never seen a film on YouTube of TREVOR, BRYAN, or any of my fighters. You know, we don't give away our secrets like that. And I tell them, you better not film anything and put it out there, okay? Because then I can see what you're doing. I can learn from it. Very, very easy. But this is what they do, you know.
Very interesting. So, okay, let me try and learn from you. So, in my opinion, I would say that Amir Khan is busy, but Roy Jones is fast. Yeah,
I would say he's busy. Yeah, I would say he's busy.
So Khan is busy, and Roy Jones is fast, because I say Khan is busy because he's busy, but he's not that fast to the point where he's getting caught with big shots in between shots. So I'm thinking he's getting caught like shots like where Roy is fast. Roy's throwing shots, and you're not seeing those shots when you're getting hit with, you know. Whereas Khan, I think you see Khan's shots when they're coming. That's why he's able to get countered the amount of times he gets countered. Plus, I think he's got a low IQ as well. He throws the same punches.
One of the fighters that was probably, in terms of hand speed and power, probably the best and the most dangerous fighter that ever lived was Sugar Ray Robinson.
Sugar Ray Robinson.
Yeah.
Of course. He could do it going forward and he could do it going backwards. It's going backwards where he did it.
You know, a lot of people never studied him psychologically. They didn't study Sugar Ray Robinson. But I was fortunate to be around trainers like Luther Burgess, the guy I just mentioned a while ago, Dale Williams, who trained Dick Tark and all those guys. When Sugar Ray Robinson came up in Detroit, along with Joe Louis, he used to carry Joe Louis's bags to the ring. So I had an opportunity to learn a lot about Ray Robinson on a personal basis, in terms because of the old timers who knew him personally. And the thing that I knew about Ray Robinson was Ray Robinson was in a whole different league from anybody else that ever stepped in the boxing ring. And I would tell you this. I don't know if I ever mentioned this to you before. He was so good. He was so good, and he was so dangerous until he would pull his punches. He would pull his punches when trying to hurt anybody, because before then he had killed this boy named Perrette. Perrette got killed in the ring, and after that, Ray Robinson said that he would never kill another man in the ring. So what he did was he never let his punches go like he did up until that point when it happened. And that being said, Ray Robinson had a dream. He said he dreamt the night before that he was going to kill this boy in the ring, and he killed him. And then the dream told him that he could kill a man in the ring anytime he wanted to. And this is one of the reasons when the boy died. It's one of the reasons why he pulled his punches. And when he went to open up his rec center in California, he had, I don't know if you heard of the Olympic star Flojo and all those girls, those running back.
Yeah.
Well, Flojo came out of his program. He had all sports except for boxing, because his mind was on a whole different level, and he knew the danger that was involved and what was involved with the sport, because he was in a whole different level. He saw things that most people couldn't see.
Yeah, he was amazing. He's my hero. When he cut me to a boxing, Sugar Robinson's my hero. What I love is what Ray Robinson did for his people outside the ring, where he had built a whole community and employed his people. That's what really, that's the thing about me, Sugar Ray Robinson.
Yeah, he did a lot for people. He did a lot for boxing. I remember when they was in the service and they wanted Joe Louis to go into the Army, and Ray Robinson went in the Army, and then he got out because he didn't want to serve. He didn't want to serve under so much discrimination. He said he wasn't going to do it. And Joe Louis tried to get him to stay, but he left. He got out of the armed service, and that was the reason why he didn't. And he refused to do exhibitions. I think Joe Louis did about, I don't know how many exhibitions he did in the military for the soldiers, and they raised a lot of money. They raised a lot of money off of Joe, and Ray Robinson refused to do it. And in the end, Joe owed about $6 million in taxes, and all that money that he donated from those to the services, armed service, they didn't give him a tax break. Didn't end up paying it.
Yeah, I did hear
so
about this.
It's a lot going on with all of this stuff, you know. And Ray Robinson's a different character.
Yeah,
and you know, that was Muhammad Ali's hero, was Sugar Ray Robinson.
Yeah,
you know,
Robinson's mine. There's Robinson, Henry Armstrong, those two guys.
Yeah. Oh yeah, those fighters.
Those two guys.
Henry Armstrong. Henry Armstrong was a beat.
I know his grandson. I talked to him a lot. His grandson.
Oh, okay.
So I'm quite close to the grandson, Henry Armstrong. Yes,
Mike Tyson,
Hammering Hank. He did. Hammering Hank. So let's talk a little bit more. Let's talk about. So, what's your thoughts? Your overall thoughts on Usyk versus Joshua? If you're going to break the fight down and call it,
I think what's going to happen is, I think that Joshua going to fight the same type of fight he fought against Ruiz. He's going to stay out there and try to box and try to move around and just not take any chances and win a decision. I think that's what he's going to go for. I think that's his fight plan. Now, if a knockout comes, it comes. But in the meantime, you have to understand one thing. Joshua been hit. Joshua been hit by Ruiz. He's been knocked out by Ruiz. He's been knocked down 3 or 4 times by this kid. Okay. Now, where is his head? Where is his mind when that contact come against him again? Where is he going to be? Is he going to be able to perform, or is he going to go into a shell? So you really don't know. You really don't know. You know, it's just like, it's like sometimes a fighter can be in a tough fight. You know, I call it going through doors. When he get hit like that, he go to 2 or 3 different doors. Now, when he come back, he may not come back through that first door. He may only come back to the second door, which means he'll never be the same. So the only way you can judge that is when he get hit. So if this guy hit him, if he's going to a shell, then he'll beat him. But he has to be able to get to him. So he got a good chance. He got a good chance.
Would that have been your strategy, though?
Huh?
Would that have been your strategy, though?
About my strategy?
Yeah.
Well, I would send him after him. I said, go out there and jump on him, stay on top of him. You know, let's see what he got. Let's hit him and see how he react. You know, and that's what I would do. It's the same thing with Fury against Wilder. And Wilder did all this stuff and did all these things, but he got all this new stuff going on. But hell, they don't know. If Fury hit him, he might go back through them doors again. You never know. So it's very difficult to determine. Everybody's body wasn't built for boxing. You know, everybody can't come back. You look at Mike Tyson, big fights he's been in. Mike Tyson, his body was absorbing them punches. His body is built for boxing. He didn't break down. So everybody ain't built for boxing. So we have to wait and see what happens.
From what you've heard of what's been going on with Wilder and Malik Scott, and what you've seen, what do you think? Do you think he's remodeled? Because I've got a feeling that he's remodeled. He's got 1.5 years to improve. I mean, if he can't improve over 1.5 years, he better quit boxing.
Well, he had time to rest. He had time to think about all the crazy stuff that he was saying. He had time to think about all this. He felt refreshed with Malik Scott. Now, Malik Scott is a kid that I work with a little bit, a good friend of mine. I like him a lot. He's a good boxer. He got good, fast hands. He didn't have the biggest heart in the world, but he had good, fast hands, and big, tall guy. And he and Wilder is friends because Malik was one of the sparring partners. Okay, but I tell you what, with the pad making and the different things that he's working with Wilder on, all that's fine. Let's see everything come together. Let's say this is fine. Now, for Malik Scott to take a fighter like Wilder and put him in this type of fight and be the general and direct the traffic, that's a whole different ball game. You know, can he comprehend what is actually going on in the fight and change his fighter and change strategies? Can he do that? He never did it before. So it's a whole different ball game. You took him and put him in a place that he'd never been before. And it's very difficult to learn on the job. So if it's in the downfall, that's the downfall right there.
What have you made of what Wilder's been doing? I mean, I mean, what's mystifying to me is that under Mark BRYAN, who everyone rates is a really good trainer and this and that, but you can't train everybody. But under BRYAN, Wilder never looked the same on the pads as he's done with Malik Scott. And I'm thinking, well, hold on. How can this be? He spent all these years with BRYAN, and then he's on the pads with Malik Scott, and he's doing all these different things. So what is it? Is it an illusion, or is Malik getting better out of Wilder?
Well, from what I understand, is BRYAN was limited in terms of what he could do with Wilder. My understanding is that the other trainer and the manager wouldn't allow BRYAN to do what he wanted to do with Wilder. And I heard that anything that BRYAN wanted to do with Wilder, he had to ask the other trainer first, can I try this and can I try that? And so he may have been a little bit hesitant. He may have been a little bit hesitant because of that, because he wanted to keep his job. You know, he wanted to stay within his slot and this type of thing. He wasn't a take charge type guy. You know, you got different guys that train fighters that don't take charge. You got to be able to walk in the ring and take charge. So you got to have charge. The ability to do that. So I don't think he ever took charge. I think he did the best he could from where they put in position that he was working from. I think he did the best that he could. Whereas Malik Scott come in, and now my understanding, Wilder has named him the head trainer. So now he got full range to do what he want to do. So he can do all the pad work and all. And personally, I watched him work pads. I think Malik doesn't understand there's a difference between working pads from a 160 pounder than working with a heavyweight. So he working the pad work that he's doing with Wilder, from what I saw, is for a little fighter. It's not for a big fighter. It's like I told you, like I was saying to you a while ago, you know, a Tommy Hearn type style. You do pad work, but you don't do a lot of flashy pad work and rolling underneath 6 foot, what is it, 6'6", 6'7", rolling underneath punches and all. Come on, man. What you doing? You 6'7", what you doing with your head way down there? Why you rolling down here?
Mm-hmm. Standing tall, you know, using the jab.
You tall, you box tall. Now, if he readjusts his feet, like I've always said, his feet was too wide. I don't know if he readjusts his feet or not, but I saw him moving around a lot. So I don't think, but once he get hit, he's going right back to Wilder. But because that's his safety, his right hand is his safety net. That's what kept him there, and that's what kept him going. He go right back to that.
But okay, you say that, but in sparring, all these years as an experienced fighter, when you get hit on the chin and you're sparring, then you take the shot and you get on with the sparring session. And through that year and a half, you would have got hit on the chin quite a few times. So why would it be different get hit on the chin in a big fight than getting hit on the chin in sparring? You're still getting hit on the chin. Your brain's still saying, this is a punch that's hurting me. Or is it just the big fight and the experience and the atmosphere? Because it's still getting hit on the chin.
Yeah. Well, the difference is when you get hit on the chin in sparring, there's somebody that's on the sideline that say, hold up, walk it off.
Hold on.
Yeah, hold up, walk it off. I remember when Mike Tyson was getting ready to fight Lennox Lewis. We was in Hawaii. They had a sparring partner came out of California. His name was John Bray. He was a hell of an amateur fighter. And John Bray hit Mike, I think with a left hand or right hand, left hook or right hand. Mike wobbled. Now how to hold it, stop, walk it off. He tried to walk it. Now in a real fight, I wouldn't be able to do that. So it's a big difference. And the gloves are smaller, and you ain't got no headgear. So your emotion, your adrenaline is going different, it's flowing different, because you know at any time you can get hurt. So that's the difference between sparring and in the gym. So
okay, I don't want to go too much into those theories that were out where Wilder said he got beat because of he felt he was drugged. What are your thoughts on that? Is it possible he could have been drugged going into the fight? Or do you not buy into that?
I don't think he. It seems to me I haven't heard him talk about a little crazy stuff anymore. Maybe Malik Scott or somebody got to him and got some of that crazy stuff out of his head. But if he's going there thinking that there's something crazy going to happen to me, then he's going to have a problem. He's going to have a problem.
Evander Holyfield said, check your water. Now, I remember Tyson Fury telling me before he fought Klitschko and after he fought Klitschko that, you know what, I wouldn't touch any water at any point in time because I didn't want to be to be accused of using any sort of drugs, because when you drink water, they can say, well, they check your urine afterwards, you've been tampered with and stuff, the water be tampered with. So I remember Fury saying that to me. So is there anything in that, water being tampered in boxing, fighters being drugged?
Well, they fighters hear all kind of stories. Okay, they hear all kind of stories, and most of these fighters are hearing stories from boxing people, but they're old stories, what they used to do, the training used to do a long time ago. Okay, you don't have all of that going on now. You don't have all of these type of things that they're talking about, and let me tell you why. Because back in the day, you can do anything you want to do in the corner. Basically, you can get a fighter's ammonia, you can get a fighter's. I done gave fighters alcohol and everything in the corner.
Alcohol? What?
Yeah, but I wouldn't do that now. I mean, I wouldn't do it now, but I done gave fighters bourbon in the corner and everything. So they hear these old stories. I could tell Wilder that right now. Yeah, man, I don't put bourbon and stuff in my fighters' water. He'll swear, I think somebody put some bourbon on me. So psychologically, he started thinking like that. But to be, a lot of people might say, well, why would he give the fighter some bourbon? Why would he give him a drink like that? You got to understand how the fighters think. If you got a fighter that's an alcoholic, and 80% of the fighters drink. So you got a fighter that's an alcoholic. He says, well, I don't want to give him anything to drink because he's an alcoholic. You have to understand, it's at a certain point, it's not alcohol anymore. It's medication. It's not alcohol, it's medication. So what I gave the fighter, I used the term a minute ago, alcohol, but what I gave the fighter was medication. And what happens is, I had one fighter who was in like the fifth round, it's a Cincinnati fight. In the fifth round, he shut down. I knew what the problem was. He wanted a drink. So I said, give me the bottle right there. So I gave him a drink. And with that 1 minute on that stool, he had that drink. He went to the bar and back. Now he ready to fight. Went out there and knocked the guy out.
Jesus! Wow.
Yeah, but see, that's different. That's a different situation right now than what Wilder was talking about. Oh, they took stuff out the glove and all that. Fury people are not dumb enough to take padding out of a boxing glove, because it can get you now put in penitentiary. The late Panama Lewis showed you that when allegedly he took the gloves out and Aaron Pryor hurt this boy, but he went to penitentiary for it. So a lot of these things you used to be able to get away with, you can't do it. I used to get my fighters B12 shots myself, and my ex-wife, who was a medical doctor, told me to stop doing it, because if the fighter gets sick, a bad needle, you go into jail because you're not medically qualified to do these things. So a lot of things we used to be able to do, we don't do. We teach fighters how to throw elbows, teach fighters how to poke your eyes out, all this kind of stuff. We don't do all that stuff. So a lot of this stuff that Pierre and that boy heard about, if those young trainers, now they don't know anything about that. They're not doing that. All this stuff ain't happening.
Now, you talk about those gloves, but those same gloves, I think the same gloves were caught about a few weeks later in a fight where they caught the gloves. The trainer examined them and found that there was no padding in the glove a few weeks later. And the commission didn't see it. And the trainer caught the fighter with those same gloves or similar type gloves. Puffing gloves or paffing gloves. You remember the trainer?
What brand name of those gloves?
Puffing or paffing? Puffing, paffing.
I don't know anything about those. So they had very little padding in the gloves?
The padding was taken out the gloves. And they called the actual trainer and said, what's this? What's this? And they pulled the fight and they got the guy to put gloves on. Then the guy got beaten up afterwards. The guy who came with the illegal gloves.
Well, did the gloves come back from the manufacturer small like that? Was the padding done in the manufacturer, or did the trainers or somebody take padding from the gloves?
Don't know, but it was.
If they can prove that the trainer actually took somebody in the camp actually took padding out of those gloves, they can go to penitentiary.
Oh, wow. Okay, explain. Okay, then explain Oscar Valdez then. He failed the drug test and still was able to fight on the night and lost the decision. Well, he won, but the guy beat him.
Well, I think they got a big investigation about that. I don't know what substance that he used. What now? Right now they took the banned substance marijuana. They took marijuana off the list, the ban list. So I don't know what he used, but right now there's a lot of things going on now in boxing because there's a shortage. There's a shortage of fighters, and mostly it's a shortage of good opponents. So they're allowing certain fights to go on with certain type of records, and maybe you may have a little of this in your system, a little bit of that, or whatever, and they may let the fight go on because you can't keep canceling these fights and pulling them out because of the fact that it's bad enough as it is. So it's a lot of stuff going on right now. They may let slide, a little bit of stuff slide, but nothing major.
Okay. Right, Canelo and Plant. Plant called Canelo a drug cheat. He said, you're a drug cheat. You got caught with clenbuterol in your system with the beef, and you got 6 months, and then you were back boxing again. And Plant says the sport needs to be cleaned up.
Well, look, I always remember one thing. The fight is in the mind. The fight is in the head, okay? When Tyson got ready to fight Holyfield, all they was talking about, we already knew it. We knew the Holyfield was on steroids. We already know the hair started falling out the back of his head and all this stuff all at once. The man walked around 185 pounds and fight 90, 210. You ain't drinking water and doing that. So we're not stupid. So what we're telling is, hey, Mike, let's go give him some dope. You want to fight? We're going to fight anyway. Take all the drugs you want. Somebody go there and give him some steroids. We don't give a damn. When the bell rings, we going to war. That's the attitude you got to have. You can't sit back and cry about, well, he might have this, he might. Are you going to fight or not? If you want to fight, then don't worry about that. Let the commissioner take care of all that. You just go in there and fight. The fighter don't have time to be sitting around talking about what they got in my water, what they got. Now, the people that's handling him should understand to take care of the fighter's water, take care of his food, take care of all of that. The fighter shouldn't be worried about it. If the fighter has to worry about that, then he need to get rid of those people that's working for him and get somebody with experience to get things done the right way, to understand this stuff.
What is this new fashion they have of putting the camera, of putting something to cover the camera in dressing rooms? Why do they do that?
I really don't know. I don't know. And they see the fighters warm up. Some fighters don't want to be seen warming up and cover the cameras up and all this. And all that's just, it's all psychological. It's nothing but something to hold you down. You got to be able to tell your fighter, man, let them look. Let me tell you one thing I liked about Holyfield, and I tell Holyfield this all the time. When he was getting ready to fight Mike the first time, he had open workout in Las Vegas. Now, I had friends of mine that own car dealerships came out of Michigan. I went and got them and took them over to Holyfield camp to watch Holyfield train. I'm standing right there by ringside. Somebody told Holyfield, hey, they want a Tyson trainer right there. You want us to get him out of here? Holyfield said, no, let him watch. So, no, let him watch.
Wow.
Yeah, so let him watch. And then Holyfield told me, you know why I said let you watch? Well, because it's me and Tyson in the ring fight, not me and you. That's the attitude. That's the attitude that makes you a super great fighter.
Champion, of course. A
champion, real champion.
How did you feel about seeing Holyfield in the ring with Victor Belfort?
Well, I really couldn't sleep that night. I didn't sleep well that night. I was afraid of hearing bad news the next morning. I got a call. I think it was on a Friday. Was it Friday? Yeah, I got a call from Holyfield management team down there in Florida. And they say, well, we want you to be part of this team. I said, yeah, we want you to come down and work with John David Jackson. And we want you to do a lot of PR work with Holyfield, wrap his hands and work with him and show him this and that. And so they're gonna offer me some good money too. So I thought about it. But I went to bed. I couldn't rest. That night. I said, man, that's something wrong about this. So I called Ronnie Shields. Ronnie Shields is a great trainer. I said, Ronnie, what do you think about his Stacey? If you feel that way, don't do it. He said, don't do it. So I never called Don early in the morning. I called Don at 8 o'clock in the morning. I asked Don, I said, Don, they want me to work with Holyfield. I said, but I got a bad feeling about the situation. I said, I don't think he got into business in the boxing ring. I said, I don't like what I see, because I've been watching him for the last 3 years right down here in Florida, in the gym with him. I said, I don't think he should be in that ring, man. He ain't got no business fighting. So Don told me not to do it. So I called the management team and told them, look, I'm not going to be able to work with them. I'm not going to be able to do that because there's something about this. It ain't right. This kid ain't got no business in no boxing ring. I saw it. I knew it. I talked with him many times. I could tell in his speech. I could tell in his reflexes. Although, you know, Holyfield still worked out 3 or 4 times a week. He do the treadmill. I never seen him hitting the heavy bags, do the treadmill and stuff like that. But the kid, if you take a good look at him, you know, okay, this guy done had too much. He doesn't, it's like a drunk man. You know, I had too much to drink. We don't need to give him no more drink. Cut him off. Bartender, get him out of here. It's the same thing. This man had too much. So now,
but he's
one thing we don't need.
He's talking about coming back again.
Huh? No, he ain't coming back no more.
He said he's going to continue.
Well, that's talking. That's talk. I watched him walking, stumbling, and when he's talking, he doesn't. It's not there. Okay, so I pulled back, and we saw what happened. Now, the one thing you got to understand in this boxing business, Holyfield is one of the greatest fighters ever lived. There's no doubt about it. He's one of the best. He's one of the best warriors. If you look at his record, some of the fans out there, I want you to go down and look at Holyfield's record. Watch all the guys that he's fought. Name the guys. You'll find out that he fought more Class A fighters than any fighter in the world. He fought them all, everybody. Pinklin Thomas, George Foreman, Riddick, BOWE, Mike Tyson, Michael Dokes. He fought Michael Dokes, yeah, way back then. Yep. Michael Dokes, Muhammad Qawi. You can go on and on and on and on and say, who happened to this guy? Who hasn't he not fought? So he's too big of an icon. He's a great fighter. And I even called the commissioner after the fight and said, look, we can't be doing this. This is a bad look for boxing. This is a very bad look. They said, we agree, Stacey. So now you got all this bad publicity out there, but he's not going back in that ring. They're not going to get him back in that ring. That's it. That's over with.
The guy who owns Triller said, yeah, Evander's going to continue fighting.
Well, the guy who, let me ask you a question. The guy who owns Triller, how long has he been in the business? A year or two? He's going to find out, and he's finding out that that exhibition hurt his company. It hurt his promotional company. I've heard people say, I ain't gonna watch no more Triller fight behind that because they love Evander Holyfield. And to them, it's like you're trying to gather blood money. That's blood money. And with all this bad publicity coming out, and it's bad for his company. Although I like the guy that's in the boxing business. We need more promoters, but you have to be careful about what you're doing and who you're putting in that boxing ring. And you know, I've been watching Riddick BOWE train for the last couple of weeks, but Riddick BOWE pulled out of that fight with ODOM. You know, which I'm glad he did because when I watched him down
he pulled out of it.
Huh? Yeah, BOWE pulled out.
He pulled out.
Yeah. Said after watching Holyfield,
wow,
said he wasn't going to do it, and he shouldn't do it because I watched him in the gym the other day, and I had Trevor BRYAN down there training, and I told one guy, I said, you know what, that man ain't got no business in no boxing ring. I said he done lost about 10 or 15 pounds. I said, but he has no business whatsoever in a boxing ring. I say, and you know, and I looked at it real close, and you know, I'm gonna say something that Riddick BOWE don't know. Riddick BOWE is a very, very good, intelligent guy when it comes down to boxing. I heard him saying some things when he's watching these other heavyweight spars. BOWE still know this Detroit technique that they taught him. So I might bring him in with me and help him out that way. You know, put him back on the scene that way. Put him in the corner, set him up so he can have input on his knowledge and this type of thing. Not go back in the boxing ring. You know, anything can happen in the boxing ring. Then you'd be looking at.
I always thought he'd make a good trainer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he'd make a good boxing trainer, BOWE.
Yeah, he'll make a good boxing trainer. Not to do the physical work, but he'd be the guy that they fill in the cracks. You know, I heard him say some stuff the other day when a guy was sparring. I said, oh, BOWE still got it. I said, he's absolutely, he's absolutely right. So you want to help Riddick Bowe, put him in a position like that. Then he having fun, doing what he like to do, and he has a good name. And he only lost one fight. And he's the only fighter heavyweight that ever held all 4 belts, undisputed. Yep, Riddick Bowe.
Yeah. Now Riddick Bowe, was it? Yeah, no, not Riddick Bowe. There was a story going around that the Triller guy wanted Evander Holyfield to fight Frank Bruno. Can you believe that?
I told the man don't know any better. He doesn't know any better. Yeah, I tell you what, he learned from this experience. I guarantee you that. He learned from this experience. He ain't gonna fight Frank Bruno. Evander Holyfield ain't got no business in the ring with nobody. And that ain't gonna happen. We're not gonna let that happen. And we got people at WBC, Mauricio, everybody's talking about it. They talking about suspension for the boxing commission in the state of Florida. Holyfield was outlawed in
California,
in New York, California, other states. Just like Muhammad Ali is. He was outlawed, but then they took him down to Bahamas to fight outside of the country. But hey, these guys, that's old saying. Sometimes you got to help people help themselves. They can't help themselves. They'll make mistakes. So you got to help them. And this is what these laws and rules are for. To help the fighters. Help keep them safe. They don't keep themselves safe. So help them. And that's what we're going to do. And that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to keep talking about it. And I'm going to be talking about that. We need to help these fighters. And if they're done, they're done. Don't put them in that ring. They might say, they may say, well, Lamar Odom, he's no fighter. Lamar Odom's still the great big man. All you got to do is throw a haymaker and hit Bowe upside his head. It may be all over with.
Yeah.
Because his head has been hit too damn much. So leave it alone. He can't get out of the way because the man's mind, he got no reflexes. Okay?
Your former fighter, Mike Tyson. What about him fighting still?
I'm not worried about Mike fighting. Like I said a minute ago, some fighters are built for this. They're built strong for this. If you notice something about Mike Tyson, he still got his upper body. He's not quick as he used to be. He still got his upper body movement. He can still do spin moves. He still got a good jab. He got combination. He can still slip punches, which means he got good reflexes, which means his mind, his brain ain't all gone. It's right there. It ain't what it used to be because of his age. But he still have reflexes and everything. He's not walking, stumbling and this type of thing. So he can box exhibitions. He could box exhibitions. Ain't no doubt about it.
Jake Paul was talking about fighting Mike Tyson, but his team said keep away from Mike.
He gonna get knocked out, but hey, it's been a lot of money for him. Yeah, it would be a lot. Mike talking about boxing Lennox Lewis. Huh?
I heard that story was meant to be in September. What happened?
I don't know. I think it's been put back to November, December. But I heard that the contract's already been signed.
Wow. Lennox Lewis, Mike Tyson. Yep.
Lennox Lewis, Mike Tyson. Now, I don't know, but that's what and Mike said it himself. Mike said it himself. I want to do a exhibition with Lennox Lewis, and then I'm considered fight Trevor Bryan.
I heard he wanted for Tyson Fury. There was a talk about him fighting Tyson Fury as well.
Well, quite naturally, you put Tyson Fury in there, but that because there's more money. There's more money involved. Now that could happen. That could very well happen.
Have you heard any news about Lennox Lewis and training and stuff like that?
Now, I haven't heard anything about him training, but Lennox always trained. Lennox basically know what he's doing. Lennox turned down, I think it's close to $40 million for a rematch against Vitaly Klitschko, and then to take $40 million. We're gonna come back and take a few millions for. I don't know, but maybe the guy want to do it. He's a big man. I don't think he's in the shape that Mike. I know he ain't trained like Mike trained, because when Mike trained, Mike always trained hard. So, and you can tell that Mike is developing. So, he may do an exhibition, but we were looking forward to it. But Tyson Fury, he can't do no Tyson Fury.
You can't do no Tyson Fury. Why? Why? Why can't you do Tyson Fury?
He's too big, too good. Tyson Fury toy with him. Can't get to him. He's too good. So
Mike Tyson is prime against Tyson Fury.
Knock him out.
Who? Mike would knock Tyson Fury out.
Knock him out. Without a doubt. You knock him out. So there's no doubt in my mind. The 20-year-old Mike Tyson, any fighter ever come along in the world have been in trouble with Mike Tyson at 20 years old.
Even Evander Holyfield.
20 years old and knocked him out. You got to understand, Holyfield got Mike way down the road, down the line. He didn't get, when they was talking about fighting at first, the first time they was talking about actually fighting, got knocked out. 20-year-old Mike Tyson was a monster. 16-year-old Mike Tyson was a monster. 17-year-old Mike Tyson knocking out grown men. I think it was 18, 17 or 18, he knocked out Lennox Lewis in training. You didn't know that, did you? Yeah,
you told me the story.
Yeah,
I remember it.
Yeah,
what about Mike versus Ike? Ikeobuchi. The president.
Now, you know what? Now, we was, what were we at? I think it was in Las Vegas training, right?
Yeah. So,
Crocodile, our motivational coach, said, "Hey, Mike, you ever heard of Ikeobuchi?" So Mike looked up at Crocodile as if he saw a ghost or something. He looked at Crocodile like that. Then Mike said, "Yeah." I said, "Wait." He says, "Mike, what do you think about Ikeobuchi?" He said, "Yeah, he's tough." Now this is what Mike said. He can dish it out, but can he take it? He said, "That's a different story." He said, "Can he take what I will put on him?" Now, when you say that, it's a different ball game. But can I dish it out? Yes. I like Ikeobuchi. In fact, I talked to Mr. Bird when he got ready for Chris Bird to fight him. I said, "Mr. Bird, why y'all fighting Ikeobuchi?"
Bad move.
Yeah. He said, "That's what they call me." But I said, "Mr. Bird, that's a tough fight. Ikeobuchi's a monster." He said, "Well, we're going to go in there and fight him." And then you saw what happened. But he was coming. Ikeobuchi was coming fast. He was making a name for himself. And people loved him. And he was dangerous. And fighters respect him because they knew he was dangerous. Even Mike respected him. But then, even on top of that, there's one thing that they, like I said, they didn't see his mind, the mindset. They didn't work on his mind. Yeah, because you have to understand one thing. Some people in life are afraid of success. Not that he wasn't physically capable of becoming a heavyweight champion of the world. He had that, but he was afraid of success. And you got to be able to see that. I had fighters that was afraid of success. There's a lot of people afraid of success in different business. So you got to be able to see that. And this is what happened to him, you know. And a fighter would go to an extreme to keep from becoming that successful person on that particular level. Now, what I mean by the extreme, you would make it so he would get himself incarcerated, locked up, so he can't do it.
Yeah.
I had a fighter in Michigan the same way. I had a fighter in Michigan the same way. Oh, he was dangerous. I recall him the first coming to Mike Tyson, breaking ribs and jaws. He made sure he went to jail to keep him fighting, to keep him becoming successful because he was afraid of success. But I was young then. I didn't know no better. If I had known I know now, I could have straightened it out. But he was afraid of success. A lot of people are afraid of success. I had a friend of mine. I had a friend of mine that this promotional company came to him and said, "Okay, you're going to be the director over the promotional company. And we're going to take this $10 million and put it in your account. And you write the checks." And then he threw his hands up. No, I don't want that money in my account. He was afraid. So I told him, I said, "Give it to me. I'll write the checks. There ain't no problem." So he said, "No, we can't give it to you." But he was afraid. It was too much for him. Yeah.
Wow.
I can give you an example. I probably can go to one of my relatives right now and say, "Hey, come over here, man. You know, I love you. You're my cousin, you're my uncle, whatever. Well, take this $500, man, and take your wife out to dinner and have a good time on me." "Oh, yeah. Oh, man, thank you, Stacey. Oh, man, I love you." I go to that same person and say, "Look, man, give you $100,000, $150,000. You know, take that money and go and pay your house off," something like that. He ain't gonna take it. Scared. No, I don't want that. It's too much for him. So he's scared. So that's the same thing. I'm telling you. That's life with a lot of people. That's where it is. You know? So Algo Butcher's the same way. Had to get himself locked up. Then after he got locked up, he came back and tried to fight because he knew he was through. Didn't want to go to the other level. Then you got some guys love that other level. You know. So it's a strange business, man. Strange
he fought David Tua, and the way he fought David Tua, and the basis of him fighting David Tua and how he fought David Tua, does that not give you any sort of indication of how he would have done against Mike?
Well, David Tua was a good fighter. You know, he was a good fighter, but he was a B+ fighter. You're talking about the difference between David Tua and you're talking about Mike. Mike was a phenomenon, man. Mike was from the universe. He's a whole different ball game. You're not gonna see another kid like that. You might see him in football or running back or something like that. Mike could have been one of the great running backs. He was fast and he was strong. I mean, he ran like a little guy. So you don't find a guy like Mike Tyson. He's too well put together, and then God put him in the hands with Custody Amata, who was great and understand and creative, understood what he had, mold him into the fighter that he is. So you're not going to find that. The same way with Muhammad Ali, and when he got with Angelo Dundee. See, now you could have took them same fighters and put them with somebody else. He might not have done anything. So he's a totally different ball game, you know. That type of great.
I'm going to close off with this. Crawford versus Porter. Your thoughts on that fight?
Who now?
Crawford versus Porter.
I think it's a bunch of garbage.
What?
I think
Why?
Come on, man. I think it's a bunch of garbage. I mean, one guy ain't fought in I don't know how long. One guy is a really good fighter. He gonna never be able to fight up to his potential because he didn't get a chance to fight the top guys. So, you know, it's a fight that doesn't interest me at all.
But you're finally seeing, but Crawford, you're seeing a guy in Crawford suddenly going to get tested by Porter. You don't think Porter will test him? No,
I don't think he had the heart to really do anything to Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford's a good fighter. And I think that this kid is just trying to get paid, and you know he got a little name, and that's all. And Crawford needs to fight somebody with a name. But everybody, you can go. You ask the average person, they don't know who Crawford fighting. I don't know. I don't remember. You know, I don't know. I don't remember. Oh yeah, he was good at one time. Yeah, that's it. So it's not that exciting for me. It's just something you got to throw together and try to build it. You know, to try to. I can tell you how bad it is. It's so bad, even PBC didn't even go to the purse bid. They didn't even bid on the fight.
Wow.
And what they tell you. You know, so they're trying to put something together, but it's okay for the regular fans, but a guy like me, it doesn't show me anything.
Wow, that's very interesting. It's very interesting to say that.
Yeah.
My gosh. Who's got the best network at the moment for boxing for you?
The best network right now?
Yeah.
It's probably PBC got the better fight. I tell you what, there's a change happening in the game, period. If you take a look at the fighters, you got your Latino fighters and you got your European fighters. It's moving up. They're moving up in boxing. They're taking a lot of the air. Look at the television. They're taking a lot of air time. The main events, Benavidez and Alvarez. All these guys is taking over boxing. And with the pandemic going on and everything, the sponsors are not paying the money like they used to pay. So what's happening is the top fighters like Alvarez, those guys are getting all the money, so there ain't no money left for the rest of the fighters hardly. And the rest of the fighters complaining because they think they should be getting big bucks, but it's not there. You know, and you got to come in there and you got to perform. Nobody want to see no regular fight. You got to go in there and perform. So it's a big change. Things are changing. I got a kid right now from Russia just fought the other day, and he's a go-getter. He's a crowd pleaser. He fight. He comes to fight. That's what the people are looking for. That's what the networks are looking for. That's what the sponsors are looking for. The sponsors don't want to pay for these deadbeat fights. You know, so it's a problem. Bob Behrman tell you that. Bob Behrman say, hey, you want big money, but look at your numbers. You're not doing any numbers. Look at the Charlo brothers, 100,000, 150,000 people. Come on, man. I mean, 100,000, 150,000 buys. Ain't nobody watching. Nobody buying. So you got to match these guys up and you know that thing Crawford. Look, I ain't gonna buy that fight. I wouldn't give you $5 to watch it, to buy it. Now, if I got to buy it, I got to pay for it. It doesn't interest me at all. It's nothing there. So we now you started talking about, you know, you started talking about the fight with AJ getting ready to fight and Fury and the other boy. Then people gonna buy. And I heard the Fury and them fight wasn't selling that well. I heard the tickets wasn't really going that well. So it's a little different ball. It's a different ball.
Wow.
And you got guys like Javante Davis, huh?
Yes. Dillian White and
Dillian White. Well, Dillian White is good in Europe. The people in Europe like him, the people know him, you know, this their fight and all that. But as far as the United States go to the rest of the world, ain't nobody caring nothing about no Dillian White. Nobody want to see Dillian White do what? We saw him against Joshua. We saw him against Povetkin. Come on, he let Povetkin turn you over like that. I don't want to see that. Povetkin, the fight I had 5-6 years ago. Man, way past his prime. Little man. You get fat on your back. Why are you talking? Keep your mouth shut. And it's just like DUBOIS. DUBOIS need to keep his mouth shut. He went out there with what is his name? Joy. Man, hit him in the eye.
Dubois.
Joe Joyce picked him in the eye a couple of times. Pick. Man went down on one knee. The referee right there in front of him. 1, 2, 3. Then try to get up. 4, 10. Over with. Then he jump up, walk back to his corner because he got a swollen eye. I seen a one-eyed fighter win the fight. He quit. So you keep talking about fighting Trevor Bryan, close that eye out, you're gonna quit. Once a quitter, always a quitter. So all
so your thoughts on so who would I know you talk about Joshua. So what about Dillian White versus Trevor Bryan? Why can't that fight be made?
There's nothing there. It's just like you're talking about Crawford and other fights. There's nothing there. Don't nobody know Trevor Bryan. This guy over here ain't drawing nobody. What they gonna do? Pay us $1 million? What's that? There's nothing there. Who is Dillian White? Actually, any boxing fan over here, anybody on the street. Hey, you ever heard of a fighter named Dillian White? Nope. Nope. Don't know who he is. Has he got a belt or something? Yeah, he got a title. Oh, okay. Then they started listening a little bit. Hey, come on. There's nothing. He already been knocked out.
Does he beat Otto Wallin? Does he beat Otto Wallin?
So what now?
Does he beat Otto Wallin? Does he beat Otto Wallin?
Probably so. Probably, you know, probably so. These guys hasn't been proven to really be able to stand up. Dillian White is a warrior. He will fight. There's no doubt about it. He got knocked out. He got knocked out by Vladimir. I mean, by AJ. How many times you got to get knocked out before you realize, hey, stop all that talking, man, and go in there and fight. Keep your mouth shut. You know, because you already been on your back.
So, you know, Trevor Bryan beat Dillian White.
Knock him out. Easy. He'll knock him out easy. Lord and behold, Trevor Bryan is my fighter. Okay, we understand that. All right. Trevor Bryan is a better fighter than people know, and they're going to find out soon. He's a much better fighter. You haven't seen Trevor Bryan really fight. Trevor Bryan is the type of fighter that rises to the occasion, to the quality of fighter that he's fighting. It's the same way in training. He trained kind of like I lead him. You know, you have to push him. But when the bell rings, a different person steps into the ring. And that's the way he is, a level of competition. And he's not afraid. He's not scared. He's not afraid. He's not slow. He's in excellent condition. He got a good chin. And he knows this.
Okay.
So
let me. Okay. Let me throw something at you now. Let me really Let me stoke some fire here, right?
Okay. All right.
Trevor BRYAN versus Vlad Tsarenko. Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
All right, you're right. Trevor
That's all
BRYAN
good.
versus that's all good, he says. Trevor BRYAN versus Vlad Tsarenko. Tsarenko said that him and Bashir said they're happy to take a BRYAN fight. Let's hear what you've got to say about it.
Listen, no contest. No contest. We're not in the cartoon business. We're in the real fight business. No, we're not in the cartoon business. Turn them cartoons off.
But he knocked out Usyk in a round. He knocked off Usyk in a round. That was his step-up fight. He knocked off Usyk in a round, which was he did what he had to do for that fight.
The kid's been around a long time. He's been around for a while. You know, they go in here and go in there, and sometimes the kid buys his own fights and this type of thing. I understand, and that's one thing I don't like when a kid's paying for his own fights and picking his own. I don't like that. But you know, but one day maybe, you know, when you get a chance to fight, they get a chance to fight Trevor BRYAN. Let me tell you something. There's a lot of fighters out there that give Trevor BRYAN problems, but there's one fighter, if I would say, that Trevor BRYAN at this time that I feel can't beat him, and that's Tyson Fury. The rest of them is beatable, all of them. Tyson Fury gonna be the one to give us pure D hell. That's all there is to it. He's just that good, you know, and I can't take it from him. He's just that good. But the rest of them, you know, they would give us a tough fight, but we stand a chance against all of them.
Deontay Wilder.
Good chance to knock him out. Good chance to knock him out because of the fact that he's already been beat real bad. And number one, he always rely on his right hand. You know, right hand. We're not worried about right hand. We take a right hand from him. Once you take his right hand from him, he ain't got nothing else. Even though Malik trying to add all this different stuff to him, you know. So we're not worried about Dante. We tried to fight him before. Deontay Wilder. We're not worried about him. You know, like the great Eddie Futch taught us, he said, look, you avoid the guy's strong points and you attack his weak points. That's what we do. We attack him where he's weak and avoid his strength. That's all. It's just that simple. And then you can do a psychological game on him. So now you know you've been knocked out before, you've been there before. Then you've been down, you've been knocked out. You go in there again. You run a psychological game on him. So all that counts. And then you can say, if he's as messed up in the head as he sounds, I would tell him, you better watch your water. You better watch your water, Dante. He might go up in the ring with that on his mind. Yeah, they told me to watch my water. And time they give him some water, he's gonna smell something that's in it. See, that's the psychological game. That's the psychological
and Tyson
game.
Fury will play them. Fury will play them type of games as well, for sure.
Sure. Oh my God, yeah, that's why I love him. Listen, he has that psychological edge. He has it. He can see it and he can feel it. And he can talk it and he can back it up. So he has that. Everybody's not that witty. They're not that fast. That boy's fast in his man. That's why he's fast on his feet.
He is. I'll give him that. He's very articulate and very smart. He plays the fool, but he's smart. Very smart.
Yeah. And he's a good promoter. Excellent promoter.
Yeah. He don't need no PI. He can do it himself.
I would love to be with him. And when he talking all that, they lock me and him both up. We talk so much stuff.
Your final prediction. You've talked about AJ and Usyk, Wilder Fury 3 with Malik Scott, the year and a half of improvements, retribution with Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury with the COVID and all the rest of it. What happens when Tyson it comes Fury down to October 9th?
He win by knockout. Probably by the 8th round. Wilder be gone. I got AJ winning by decision.
AJ by decision. Wow.
Yeah, he probably win by decision.
Can't see him knocking Usyk out.
I don't think he'll knock him out. I think he win by decision. because I think he's gonna be too safe. Now, safe can get you a win, or safe can get you a loss. It all depends. You can be too safe. You be too safe. And I saw him. He was timid and safe against Ruiz, thinking too much. What are you gonna do to me next? Well, let me move over here. Let me move here. I ain't gonna throw. And then he played the clock. I'm gonna wait till the last minute and then throw some punches. First 2 minutes, he ain't done nothing. Throw a couple jabs. So he playing the clock, running out of time, counting the rounds. He's counting the rounds. It's round 8. Oh God, I got 4 more rounds to go. All this running through his head. Yeah, all this running through his head. So you got to get to know your fighter. You got to play the game. You got to play the psychological game on them and the whole work. All of them got a weakness and a button you can push. Something gonna make them think. Something gonna make them think if they've been in a bad situation before. But you got to be able to pick it out, and you got to be able to use it. Now, Fury can use it. Fury got a lot that he can say. Oh my God, he could talk about the water. He could talk about the gloves to Dante. Better watch my gloves, or you better watch your water. It's gonna be on his mind going up in the ring. What kind of time did you hit with the gloves? Oh, they feel like the last gloves. That's how his mind is. So you can really play a psych game on him. You know, so it's all in the mind. Yep, it's all in the mind. You know, a long time ago.
Okay.
Fighters used to be downstairs eating and stuff, and we fight my fighter.
Stacey, as always, it's an absolute honor to sit and talk with you.
Yeah, nice talking to you, man. I hope everything come back the way I said. Okay. You good? Still there? Okay.
Yeah, I'll be back. I'll be back next week talking to you to find out what your thoughts on the fight.
All right, come back and let me know. All right, bye.
You be good and you take care and talk to you soon.
Thank you. All right.
I will do. All the best. Thanks again.
Uh-huh.